Hi, everybody. Thank you for joining me once again for Get Your Money Right with Yvonne. I'm Yvonne. How's it going? Listen, we like to start these out by just asking you, just think about how you're doing, how you're feeling, what's going on. And we've all got challenges. We know that. They're not all the same, obviously. But this is a community I'm hoping to build where we just kind of ask one another the questions because sometimes folks just don't. Everyone is busy living their lives, doing what they need to do, and we don't always ask each other, honestly, how are you doing? So just think about that. If it's anything that you would like to share with this community, feel free to do so. I'll tell you how to do that later. But how's it going with me? Pretty much status quo. Not a whole lot going on right now. But I wanted to share a story with you because I just think it's important because, like I was saying to you earlier, I never had any money education growing up. I know a lot of people didn't. We just didn't talk about it in our homes. And in our community, it was almost, what's the word I want to use? Offensive to ask about paychecks and savings, just all that stuff. Yeah, just didn't do it. So folks just didn't learn. And, now we're all kind of struggling because it's important to know how much things cost. What do you need to do? How much do you need to save? Just all of those kinds of things. And so, this is just some place where we can talk about it and think about it and all of that, right? So, what I wanted to do was kind of share a story with you, and I'm calling it Broke Folks Syndrome. And don't worry about going to any economics book because you're not going to find it. I made up the term. I'll tell you what it means in just a second. But I just have to tell you something very quickly. I saw a special on TV about the Dallas Cowboys. Not my team, but it's still something that I could learn from, and it was fun. And former receiver Michael Irvin, I think he said he comes from a family of 17 children. His parents had 17 kids, right? I think he was number 15, if I remember correctly. And he said that they were so poor that they dropped the O and the R from poor and just said, we just po folks. And I just busted out laughing because we can all relate to that, right? Not having a whole lot of money growing up. So I just had to share that with you. It was just funny to me. And the poor folks syndrome. What I mean by that is not really having any idea what to do with cash. Okay, so here's the story. It's an acquaintance, not a friend, not anybody that I know well, but I know that they had some sort of an insurance settlement. I don't know what it was specifically for, but it was a pretty sizable award, right? I know that it was over $100,000 and that it was less than $200,000. That is what I recall about it. Pretty sizable amount. And you would hope that when you get uh, something like that lump sum, that you're thinking about your future, you're thinking about what to do not to waste those funds. I mean, you're not going to get that every day, right? So let's just say it was $150,000. We don't know for sure, but like I said, more than 100, less than 2. And he didn't do that. Okay. What he did was, first thing he did was buy himself a brand new pickup truck. Okay. He bought his wife a car. Alrighty. And then one day there were just no funds left. And this is somebody, I don't know how old he is, let's just say in his 60s, somewhere around retirement age. And here he had this lump sum settlement of $150,000 and has nothing years later to show for it. nothing. And not only that, he is living with siblings. He had no money and and no wife because somewhere over the years they divorced. And so here he is, no money and having to essentially move back home. And I just found that so incredibly sad, right? He could have set himself up, could have done well for himself, but didn't. So the whole business of the poor folks syndrome, as I call it, is without any money education whatsoever and no thought about how to take care of his future. He was stuck in the present, and that money just kind of went through his fingers, like water. And again, it's just so sad. And just, he's knocking on the door of retirement. I don't know how old he is, but somewhere in that neighborhood with nothing. Well, essentially nothing. He had a little bit of Social Security, but not very much. Definitely not enough to take care of expenses or anything like that. So here he is of retirement age or in that ballpark and had to go back to work. Just no choice. And so just think about these things. You want to take care of your today, obviously, because we work and we want to have some fun. We want to enjoy our lives, which is wonderful. That's what we want to do. But also keep in mind, you have to take care of your future, because if you don't do it, who's going to do it for you? So you just really have to think about that. And so, I don't mention this a whole lot on these these shows, but stop, everybody, and just think: are you, first of all, contributing to a retirement savings account of some sort? There's different ones out there. Whether you work in the public, the private sector, there is something. Even if your only other alternative is going to some brokerage and setting up a Roth IRA, whatever you would need to do, you need to take care of yourself. Because again, who is going to do it for you? And just think, if you are, I hate to put it this way, fortunate enough to have a lump sum of some sort, whether it's a settlement, whether it's an inheritance, whatever that lump sum might be, stop and think. You want to take care of today, obviously, but you need to take care of tomorrow, though, as well. And so, whatever your circumstances are, please take care of yourself. And, whatever education you need to get about money, do so. There's lots of sources out there. What I do is Yahoo News does things, Money Magazine puts out articles, and I'm trying to think of where else. Dave Ramsey and some other people who that is their job. And folks, I am not a licensed professional about money. Went to the school of hard knocks, and I'm merely sharing with you things that I have learned over the years, and just have a way for us to connect and just know that we're all, coming through this and just trying to figure out ways to take care of ourselves and make sure that retirement is as comfortable as possible. Remember that savings account that you are creating is meant to last you, 30, 35, 40 years, whatever it is. So you need to contribute to it. You can't just think that it's going to happen magically, and it is not a piggy bank by any stretch of the imagination. It is buying your way out of a 9-to-5 job and just taking care of your needs, your wants, just making sure that you have a decent retirement. Don't dip into that money. And we've talked about things before, things that I've done. I shared with you some of my missteps, and so just hoping that the same thing doesn't happen to you. Just kind of sharing with you just really the benefit of my experience. So again, not a licensed professional, just sharing what I know, and hopefully it is useful for you. So we started this out by me saying, if you wanted to connect with this community, send a note to me, whatever, please feel free to subscribe to this page. And it's free, nobody's going to be knocking on your door looking to sell you anything, nothing like that. But if you have questions or comments, please do make them, because I have shared with you some of the comments or some of these shows were as a result of people coming to me with comments and questions. So, with that, I want to say thank you so very much for joining me once again for Get Your Money Right with Yvonne. This is Yvonne signing off. We'll see you next time, okay? Bye-bye.